Hello and welcome to this speed paint. We're going to be watching my progress for my 2018 drawing that I did for Dabi and Todoroki back when the Dabi conspiracy was kicking off again. It's always been active, but it kicked off again. I remember back in 2018, that's what sparked this piece. Anyways, here's a short little hello clip from Editing Rosa. But I wanted to revisit this piece this year because I remember that when I was working on this, it was shortly after I had gotten my iPad, and it was one of the first pieces that I started and completed completely on my iPad. I did switch from Procreate to Metabang for a little bit because I wanted to use brushes that I was familiar with, but for the most part this was done on Procreate, hence the speed paint recording. But as you can see from the sketch, I really wanted to incorporate text of some kind, and if you've known me and if you've seen a lot of my work, you know that I really like adding flat white text over heavily rendered pieces. It's just something that I always find visually appealing, and I tried my best to incorporate that text into this piece because that kind of dialogue, the like "Porsche to oh how you've burned," which just came out of nowhere. It was just something that I thought up, but I was really intrigued and inspired by that line that I randomly thought of. So I really wanted to incorporate it, but as I kept working on the grayscale and as I started adding in these colors, I started realizing that the text would look kind of messy. This isn't a composition that is really conducive to having large blocky text or even small blocky text anywhere in it, so I ditched that idea and I just moved on forward. For this piece also, I really struggled with the lighting because when I first started working on this, I really wanted Dabi's flames in his hand and then Todoroki or Shoto's eyes shining through Dabi's hand to be the sources of light, the only sources of light in this image. But because I was struggling so much, like as I was working, I was juggling with figuring out the brushes, figuring out Procreate's UI, figuring out, how to position an iPad comfortably on my lap while I worked, how to sit at my desk with my iPad. I was just juggling so many things as I was working on this that I kind of sort of neglected the lighting aspect, and so it's one of the things that I really focused on my repaint was adding back in some of that drama that I initially really wanted with this piece. But as I was working on this one, I ended up relying a lot on soft airbrushes, and if you know my process and how I like to work now, even how I like to work before this piece, you would know that I like using flat brushes. I like round hard edge brushes, I like square brushes, I like rectangle brushes. I don't like soft air brushes, just personally, because every time I work with it, I've seen people work magic with soft brushes, but when I work with it, I somehow manage to lose all the dimension, all the depth, all the texture that I normally like in all my work. So when I started relying heavily on the airbrushes, that's when I really realized I do not know this app, I do not know this medium, and that was when I realized that I should practice more on rendering on the iPad. Because up until this point, the only thing I used my iPad for was for sketching and for really light, non-detail heavy images. A lot of sketches, a lot of loose drawings, and so actually working on a full, detailed, fully rendered image really helped me realize where I was lacking and what I need to learn from Procreate. But I kept switching back from the pencil brushes to the air brushes I did try some of the painting brushes, I think, but I didn't like how the blending dynamics worked. So I ended up just reverting back to the soft brushes, and now I know where I'm comfortable with Procreate brushes, but at this point in this speed paint process, I was lost. I was trying to think of and remember and consider like 20 things at once while I was drawing, so I couldn't really focus on rendering. And that's why a lot of Todoroki, sorry, I keep forgetting they're both. Well, I guess Dabi's not confirmed, so I'll just call Shota Todoroki. But as you can tell, like Todoroki's face, under his eye, around the nose, it's really flat. There's very little facial planes happening. I don't really indicate any of that in my rendering. And even his hero uniform, what you can see of it, it's so flat. There's barely any wrinkles considering the situation he's in. You don't get a feel for the texture. It's just, everything's so flat because I was working with soft brushes. Obviously, I've gotten a lot better about that now, but it's just interesting to see how much I struggled in 2018. And here you can see me working on the rest of Todoroki's uniform and trying to figure out the smoke and trying to figure out the flames. And at this point, I was still trying to incorporate Todoroki's own orange warm flames into the piece. But later on, I just ditched the idea because I figure I'm already struggling with the one blue light source. Why should I stress myself out and add another one? That's not gonna make the piece look any better. If anything, it would make the piece look kind of conflicted. I also keep trying to add Todoroki's hand reaching out, and that was kind of hit or miss. But yeah, here you can see me working on the uniform a little bit more, and it's just so meh. It's not up to my standards now, and it definitely wasn't even up to my standards then. And so it was one of the first things I fixed when I was doing my repaint. And I keep revisiting Todoroki's face because I'm bothered by it. Even here, as I'm working on it, I can tell that it's flat, it's uninteresting, it's not dynamic. Definitely one of the first things I tackled when I repainted it a couple months ago. But during the repaint process, I mostly focused on Todoroki's eye, Dabi's his burn areas, adding a little more texture to that. I focused on lighting, creating more dramatic shadows, and fixing up Todoroki's hero uniform. I also added a little bit of texture to his hero uniform as well, because I know that there's supposed to be like that superhero fabric suit patterning, and I don't know where the footage for it went, but I also gave Todoroki some injuries because I feel like for a scene like this to take place, it would be after some kind of intense dramatic battle. So you'll see it in this detail scroll up, but yeah, I added some injuries. I fixed up some more of the flames. I added some more lighting to Dabi himself, and then I also created more of that subsurface scattering light effect on the hand to make it look a little more interesting. And I'm also going to now include a side-by-side comparison of the 2018 version versus the 2020 version of this piece, and hoo boy, it's quite a wild ride. Yeah. Look how warm and flat the 2018 version looked. Wow. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and once again, if you decided to do a repaint, let me know, show me, tag me, I want to see it. I love seeing repaints, it's so interesting. Anyways, thanks for watching this videos. Hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys had fun watching me develop as an artist through One Piece. And I hope you guys will enjoy the next ones to come. Alright, have a good one. Bye!